We've been here working with Waterloo Uncovered since 2015, and one of the questions people always ask is, where are the dead buried? And I've done a lot of research into the history about that, but as archaeologists we've also done a lot of investigation. So we've done geophysics, we've looked at sites which are mentioned in the historic texts and even in paintings where burials are shown, but they've all been negative. And then in 2019, we were working here next to Mont Saint Jean, which was the main field hospital for Wellington's army. And it's an idyllic little orchard today, but at the time this would have been a scene of absolute mayhem. And we were doing a metal detector survey in the orchard, thanks to Anthony Martin, who gave us permission. And we were finding musket balls and even a cannonball, which was great. But then one of our detectorists had a metal signal, but when he excavated it, it showed up a bone, and what he had was a human bone lying on top of metal boxes that had been dumped in a pit. So we excavated that. So by the end of 2019, we had 3 amputated legs, which was incredible. Obviously debris from the battle, from the hospital that had been dumped. And they were taken away by our Belgian colleagues to the lab and analysed, and at that point they discovered a French musket ball lodged in one of the legs. And at that time, with medicine as it was, all you could really do with that smashed bone is cut it off. And it was fairly difficult viewing as archaeologists. But we knew that there was more here, and we'd identified some animal bones a few meters away, and we thought they might be horse, but we didn't know at the time. So when we came back here after a 2-year break, this was the area, or one of the areas that we targeted, and lo and behold, what we've got is this long trench with horses, and we have at least 3 complete horses or ponies. They're quite small. And then on the other side of where those metal boxes and the legs were, we've got what looks like, still being excavated, a complete human skeleton lying right next to an amputated leg. So what we've got here is a unique example of how a battlefield was cleared in the early 19th century. And this sort of evidence is very, very rare. For instance, at Waterloo, given that 20,000 people probably died in the battle, only one single skeleton has been subject to archaeological excavation. That was my Belgian colleague Dom when they were building the museum a few years ago. So when you put it into context, this is incredibly rare, but not just because of the human aspect, but we've got this mix of animals and humans. We've almost got a snapshot of the battle. It's astounding that after 25 years of doing battlefield archaeology, this thing has come to light. Working with the veterans, it doesn't change our approach. We have professional techniques that we use. But what it does do is it makes us more sensitive to every aspect really of the conflict. From the landscape, a lot of these people have been in battle. They read the landscape not as we do, but as military terrain. When we excavated the human remains, some of the reactions there were phenomenal. And I was just stood there yesterday with one of the young veterans beside me, and he said, I'm proud to be on this team because of the respect that individual is being shown. And that's not lost on them. And when we excavated the amputated limbs in 2019, we had a double amputee veteran with us who had lost his legs in Afghanistan. And you might think, well, surely that's going to cause major trauma, that engagement with the past. But just to underline, we have an amazing mental health and well-being team here. But what happened in reality was that he looked at these remains and came to the conclusion that if that had been me at that time, the chances are I wouldn't have survived my amputation. And yet here I am, with my friends, enjoying doing what I'm doing. So that interaction between the past and the present is for me a unique one. I mean, I say to my students, archaeology is the closest we have to a time machine. But having veterans on the project is almost like having the keys to that time machine. It's just phenomenal.
So I started with the charity last year, doing some of the online studying that they offer for veterans. They run a course called Battlefield's Uncovered 1, which is sort of an introduction to archaeology online. And then I did Battlefield's Uncovered 2, which is the next level up, and it involved writing an essay. And applied for the excavation and was really fortunate enough to be selected.
When you're excavating a site like this, do your thoughts turn to your own experience?
I think it'd be hard not to, you know, especially when we're looking at some of the things we've seen today. It'd be really difficult not to sort of see parallels. But I think that what Waterloo Uncovered do is they do it in a safe place. It's very therapeutic, it's quite cathartic. It takes your mind away by concentrating on what you're doing. It sort of takes your mind away. What Waterloo Uncovered have done for me, and I see it with other people as well, veterans, service personnel. It's truly changed my life, and I'm seriously thinking about a career in archaeology.
Seeing what we've seen today, at first it was excitement because we've uncovered something, but it kind of brings back a bit of emotions that I don't think people realised at first. So.
And do you have support here on the site when you're reflecting on these obviously incredibly painful things? We think of the glory of war, but there's also that other very, like you said, painful side.
Yes, we've got plenty of support. There's a very good welfare team here, and the rest of the lads and the ladies serving, ex-serving and serving, they support each other, which we're used to doing anyway, always helping and supporting each other.
It is very humbling, but I think we all you get your head into the process of the historical and the archaeological processes. But then after that, you realise this was a person, and you know we don't know their story. We don't know if they was involved in the battle or not, but chances are they probably were in some way affected by that. So yeah, hopefully we can just give this person a story, and so they can have a place in history.
I'm the lead with a number of colleagues. We have 5 other well-being people here, mostly with a military background and experience, particularly in mental health. And our role is basically to monitor what's going on here, that people have a good experience that really does enhance their health and well-being. People are assessed and interviewed for this privileged opportunity to come and work on the dig. So this is the veterans and the serving personnel, and it's very much about their well-being. We just make sure that's happening and we monitor that.
The site that we're looking at is quite a remarkable site, and we see a very clear skeleton, amputated limbs. Is that something that could maybe re-traumatise people who have been at the front line of war?
Yeah, I mean that's clearly the case. Again, we carefully assess people that come on the dig. People are under no illusions that it was a battle, therefore there's likely to find remains and amputated limbs. There are those who make it clear that they do not want anything to do with witnessing that. There are some who are a bit reluctant but do so because it's actually helpful to overcome their worries about it. But what's important, because a lot of these are serving and ex-serving personnel, there's a kind of reverence around, I was a soldier, this person is likely to be a combatant that fought at the Battle of Waterloo. So paying the respects and being sensitive around what essentially is another soldier that's lost his life in battle is something we need to manage very carefully.